Good morning. Today is October the 1st, if you can believe it. Tomorrow you have a test over this week's reading selection, which was the night face up. So make sure that you've gotten everything done up to this point. So here's today's lesson. I'm going to go ahead and turn it green to show that that's what we're doing. This is just in case we were to get behind a day, but if you see some things highlighted in green, we did do that for that day. Okay, so today you're going to do a level up tutorial. So we're going to go through that together in a minute, but I want to go over your response log first. You have to do the respond critical vocabulary. We'll look at that. And then your response log entry number 2. So you should have already done total eclipse, and now you're going to do the night face up. Okay, so your response log should be saved in your drive. So if you just go to your drive and type in response log number 2 or response log unit 2, that's what we named it last time, it should be there. If for some reason, you see I have several copies of it from doing this with all of my classes. If you don't have it for whatever reason, and some of you remote learners, somebody asked me yesterday how to get to it. So you would go to Ed, click on your Discover button, and click on Unit 2. Now, when you click on Unit 2, it just opens the first page of Unit 2, but it doesn't do that for me, so I'm going to have to click on another button. But if you just click on Unit 2, it'll take you directly to this page with the big eyeball at the top. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, then here's your response log. You would open it. You would open it with Cami. If it says, do you want to open another copy, like it's going to tell me, that means you already do have it saved. So if it pulls up here, then just click on it instead of making another copy. Okay, so let's talk about what you're supposed to do on your response log. This is very important. You get a test grade for this at the end of the 6 weeks. Many of you either didn't turn it in last 6 weeks or didn't do a good job on it. One sentence is not going to cut it. These boxes need to be filled up. So how do you respond to the text? So it says, use this response log to record your ideas about how each of the text in Unit 2 relates to or comments on the essential question. So the essential question is, how does our point of view shape what we think we know? So let's just talk about how these first two selections that we have read, this one was a piece of literary nonfiction, and this one is a short story. How do these relate to your point of view? Well, in total eclipse, quite literally, she is watching something from the point of view where she can see the total eclipse. That's why it's called total eclipse. There's only certain parts in the world where you could see the sun being completely covered by the moon. And so that's her point of view there. So I would just say, and you do a text box, and this is just off the top of my head. Why is it yellow? This selection is a firsthand account. So I'm summarizing it to begin with. This selection is a first-hand account of a total eclipse as seen by the author. Okay, and then I would say something like, she goes into great detail using vivid, surreal language. Remember those questions about surreal? And then I would go on, okay? So I would spend about 3 or 4 sentences summarizing the text. That's good, because when you are looking back on the unit and reflecting on it, just kind of helping you remember what the story is. Now, how does it relate to how it shapes what we think we know? Well, I would start talking about, guys, how her point of view, how she started like almost not really hallucinating, but remember how she thought that she felt like she was going back in time. So that's how her point of view shaped what she thought she knew. The whole world changed around her. What I'm saying right now are things that you can use in your own words on that. She thought the whole world changed around her. It was like viewing an 18th century or a 19th century photograph. It was like being on the hillside by the Euphrates River, gathering things or hunting things. It was like being a primitive person, and she was imagining what it would be like. Okay, so first do a 3 or 4 sentence summary of the selection, and then talk about what it has to do with how our point of view shapes what we think we know. The night face up is going to be different. So summarize the story. I'm not going to summarize the whole thing for you, but the story is a parallel plot. The narrator is in a motorcycle and in the hospital in one of the plots, and in the other plot, he's back in the ancient Aztec culture being hunted by people who want to sacrifice him. And then I would talk about how throughout the story, it's hard to tell whether he's really living in modern times or if he's really living in ancient Aztec times. And then at the end of the story, there's a twist. And if you watched the video yesterday, you know exactly what that was. If you have not watched the video, you need to do that before the test tomorrow. At the end, we get that plot twist where we see which of those two civilizations he actually lives in, and more importantly, which one of those settings was the dream. Okay? One of them is a dream, and one of them is reality. All right, so I would summarize it, and then I would say, what does that have to do with our point of view? Well, one of his points of view is he's in a dream, and his other point of view, he's in a realistic situation, and both of them, he's in danger. One of them, he's about to go into surgery, and one of them, he's about to be sacrificed. And so in the hospital, in his point of view, he's not scared. When he wakes up in the hospital, he's not really all that scared, although he's going under, anesthesia and going to have surgery, but he feels safer there. But then he either wakes up or goes to sleep, depending on, what part of the story you're in, and he's fighting for his life, running scared through the jungle. Okay, so that's all about his point of view. And you could talk about how we as readers think we know something based on our point of view at the beginning of the story, and then the point of view at the end, we realize we may have been wrong. Okay? So that's all I'm asking you to do. Summarize and then just discuss in your own words. This is not formal. This is your reflection on the selection. It's like a journal entry. It is a journal entry. Okay? So it's just you summarizing it. You could even talk about whether you liked it or not. You can critique it, but fill these boxes up, but make sure that you talk about the essential question. All right, so you can come back to that in a minute. I don't want you to keep working on that right this minute. Unless you're at home, then you can do that. But those of you in class right now, I want you to, let's switch over to the other assignment. So I'm going to go to Ed and the vocabulary. Let's just look at that real quickly. Do y'all have this respond vocabulary in your assignments list? Okay, so here's your critical vocabulary, and you've got some questions to answer. You've got 5 questions to answer, and that's I want you to do this entire page. Everybody got that? You have 5 questions to answer, and then you have some things to do down here about denotation and connotation. And that's the reason I'm pulling in a level up tutorial today, so that, and it won't take you very long to do the level up tutorial, so that you can come back and do this. So it's asking you what the denotation of reek is, which is a word from the story. That's just the dictionary definition. But the word reek has a negative connotation, okay? If somebody tells you that you reek, they're saying you need to go take a bath, right? So denotation is the dictionary definition, which is going to be something like, a strong odor. But the connotation is, oh, gross. Okay. So you're going to learn about that in the Level Up tutorial. So let's go to the Level Up tutorial. So you do this entire page. Let's go back here. Okay, here it is. So I've got my sound off. Oh, that was a weird sound. You'll notice that every time you do one of these tutorials, it automatically reads it to you. If you don't want to have it read to you, then you can just mute your sound, but that's the only way to turn the sound off on these. So the tutorial tells you the difference between denotation and connotation and talks about positive, negative, or neutral connotation. So I just wanted to go over, to go over this example with you. This teen is now asleep, okay? Is he taking a break or is he slacking off? Okay, so taking a break sounds more positive and slacking off sounds more negative. Okay, so that's that's positive and negative connotation. Neutral just means there's really no particular feeling behind it. So you've got some activities to do here. Drag the definition, the denotation. So the actual dictionary definition of the words, you'll drag them into the spots. Make sure you do all of this. So you've got 13 slides here. There's usually something to do on every one of them. And then you've got to practice questions to do here, okay? So once you finish that, and this seems like a lot, but it's really not. So you do the Level Up tutorial. I would say it would take you about less than 10 minutes. Then you're going to come back to your Respond vocabulary. You're going to answer these questions and fill in this chart with denotation and connotation. Remember, I may grade this. Make sure you do it. And then after that, you can go back to your response log and fill it in for the night face up. Does anybody have any questions about your assignments for today? Well, I'll be here. If you do, you can ask me later. And make sure that you review and study. I've been telling you, you know, these tests aren't really something that you have to study for, but with the scores here lately, yes, you do. You need to reread the story. You need to rewatch the video. And I'm going to put the text sketch. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and look at the text sketch for this. A text sketch, and some of you asked me about this later. I'm going to assign this into your folder. I haven't yet, but I'm going to. So some of you asked me about a text sketch and what to do with it. So I'm just going to show you. I'm putting it in there before your tests so that it's just kind of a little summary and just a little review of the selection. And you don't have to do anything to it, but it would be a good thing to answer the questions at the bottom or at least think about the questions. So let's look at this text sketch. It tells you a man gets into an accident on his motorcycle and he is taken into surgery and he begins to dream. He wakes up with his arm in his cast, and as night comes, he drifts to sleep. He awakens with a fever and he is fighting to keep himself awake. So here's the first thing. Okay, the character is an unnamed man. The setting is a hospital in an Aztec city. Then he's running through the jungle and a group of Aztecs are hunting him. He defends himself with a knife but is captured and his protective necklace is taken away. I think I missed that in the story. Do y'all remember that? They took away his protective necklace. He finds himself trapped inside a temple. What does he realize at the end of the story? Now you can open this up and you can, with Cami, and then you can mark it up if you so choose. You do not have to do this. But let's just go ahead and do this. What does he realize at the end of the story? The hospital is the dream. And he is about to be sacrificed. Now, if you have not, I have not graded yet the analyze the text for this or the read for this. So if you didn't understand that and now you go, oh, wait, I got that question wrong when it asks you what he realizes in, I think it's paragraph 17, you can go back and change that now because I haven't graded it yet, okay? The hospital part is a dream, and the sentence that tells you that is where it says he's got a bug. They call it the motorcycle a bug? A humming insect between his legs, flying through the streets of a place where there's lights, but there's no fire coming from the lights or something like that. Okay. So someone said when they were discussing it, they were like, well, how could he dream about a future city? Like he wouldn't know what any of that was. How could that be the dream? It must be the dream that he's in Aztec times because we historically have learned about the Aztecs. So he could dream about that with accuracy, but how could he dream about the future? Well, at the end, we realize that his dream, he's actually dreaming about it in terms of not really even knowing what a motorcycle is. He goes to describing it in terms of, we realize he doesn't know what it is. Okay. So anyway, that's your text sketch. It's just something for you to look at. It tells you the plot, the characters, the settings, and just a little summary of the story. And so I will put that in there for you every time before the test, just so you can kind of make sure that you've got it. If you look at this and you go, wait, what? I don't remember it being like that. That means you need to read it again. Okay? All right, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you get caught up on your work, and I'll talk to you later.